Hello, and welcome back to Whispers from the Dark. I want to tell you a story. There's something recently that I watched. There's this one guy named Jason. And I think it's Keto Jason or Jason's Keto or something like that. And he's always grilling. I mean, that guy grills like sausage, hamburger, all the time. And I mean, he made me so hungry watching his short videos that I had to get up and go in the kitchen and make me something. I mean, that's pitiful. But that's what he did. And he seems like a really funny guy. So I made comments. I joined his channel, told him where I saw him at. You know, we chatted a little bit back and forth in the comments. In this one particular video, he has a spoon with some hot sauce or something on it, and he tastes it, and he goes, well, I'm hoping this ain't too spicy. And he tastes a little bit of it, and he seemed to be doing fine with it. But it flashed me back to a video project that I've been working on for almost a year about jalapeno challenges. Okay, this is the story. I'm going to set the scene for you. I'm probably about 20. I'm working night shift. Big surprise, huh? I'm working night shift at a trauma center in the Texas Panhandle. I'm what they call a transportation orderly, which means when patients come in, I take them back to a room, I take their vital signs, and if they need to get undressed into a gown, I assist them with that. And I get them ready for the nurse to come in and assess them, and then she in turns gives the chart to the doctor, and then he goes in to examine the patient. When a lady comes in labor, and I take them up to labor and delivery. And if we have a patient that is deceased, I take their bodies to the morgue. I also take lab work to the lab for stat blood draws, or I can assist patients, put them in wheelchairs, take them to x-ray for CAT scans, or x-ray a limb or a chest or whatever, depending upon the injury or illness. So that's my job. I worked 2.5 years night shift at this place. I worked in an old hospital, trauma center, and then the new hospital was built and we moved out to the new one. I like the old hospital better, but I love old buildings. But you could literally feel in that old hospital, you could feel people walking by you and busy stuff going on in the hallways when physically there was no one there. So spirits of people who had worked there or passed there or been a patient there was still there and very active around me. I mean, I noticed it quite often. But it was a cool place to be, cool place to work. Probably the best job I ever had. And unfortunately, I was young and stupid and not mature enough to really understand that. I worked with some great nurses. The doctors were incredible. Some of them, a couple of them were prima donnas and thought their shit didn't stink. And some of the doctors were just down to earth, really cool people. So I'll be telling stories later about my experiences there. This particular experience, I probably had just turned 20. I was young. What makes me want to tell you this story now, this particular incident, is it almost killed me. We had cops every night that were, of course, in uniform and armed that did security for us. In case we had any obnoxious, violent patients, which we did quite often, or people that were in the knife and gun club decided to come and fight it out in the waiting room or out front, or, like the one time someone drove by and shot through the window at triage. We always had an officer there that was off duty from the city police department. This particular night, we had an officer that he had just got back from vacation. And his vacation was in Mexico. And he brought some peppers with him back from Mexico, and he brought them to work. And he was talking about how hot they were and people were eating them and stuff. And I said, well, I've never had anything like that. And you have to understand this is a larger city. It was a lot larger than what I grew up in. I grew up in Crum, Texas, so you can only imagine. Anything pretty much is bigger than Crum, Texas, except Lukenbach or Drop. Now, those are smaller, but, they all knew I was a kid, and I was from a small town and was kind of green. So they picked on me at times and teased me about it. Well, this particular cop said, tell you what, I bet you $50 that you can't eat 3 of these. And these are the same peppers I'd seen everybody else eat. I'd smelled them, and yeah, they smelled kind of spicy and hot, but I said, okay, well, you're on. And I can't remember what I made, but I was an EMT, transportation orderly, and I think I probably made $7 an hour. So $50 is a lot of money. So I said, you're on. I'll take your bet. And he said, all right then. And about that time, literally within a couple of minutes, a lady came in labor. Well, my job was to check her out, talk to her, have the nurse talk to her, and then either put her, if her water broke, put her on her bed, a gurney. If she had not had her water break, I put her in a wheelchair. And I grabbed a precip pack and haul her upstairs. They called labor and delivery to let them know I was coming. And I rolled her down the hall and took her up to labor and delivery. And it was probably a good 10 minutes before I was able to come back down. And when I got back down to the ER, everybody was hanging around the lounge watching, like they were all ready to watch me eat these peppers, which I thought was a bit odd. I mean, we had maybe a couple patients in there, not much, but they were waiting on labs or something. But I thought it was interesting. So many of them were real interested in watching me eat these peppers, but oh well. So I get one of them, and I start eating the end of it, and the guy told me, and the nurse, you might want to eat as much as you can, like in one bite. That'll help you get them down. I said, okay. So I ate about 2/3 of it, or half, or whatever. And as soon as I went to swallow, I felt extreme burning in my mouth. And then people started laughing. And the cop was laughing. And then I thought, I gotta puke. I gotta get this out. So I ran to the bathroom, which was right beside, you had to pass it on the left to go down the little steps to get into the lounge. So I ran to that bathroom, opened the door, and was trying to puke to get it out. And I was spitting up blood. Blood. It was coming out with the saliva, and then finally bile, and then Pepper's pieces. And a nurse came in there with some sugar packets for me to put in my mouth to help calm it down. And when she saw the blood, she was like, oh no, this isn't good. And that's about all I remember. I don't know how long after that it was. But I ended up waking up in ICU, intubated, on a respirator. That's right, from a jalapeno pepper. I ended up in ICU on a respirator. And I opened my eyes, and I automatically looked over the foot of my bed. I could see the nurse's station lit up. And I knew that I was in ICU because at times I had been up there to go take them something or pick up something or whatever, as being part of my orderly job downstairs. So I knew I was in ICU. And there were flowers in a vase on my bedside table in front of me, across the front of the bed. And I remember looking at the flowers and thinking, you can't have those in ICU. They're supposed to be kept at the nurse's station. And then I heard noise, and I glanced over to my right, and there's Sergeant Howard. Sergeant Howard was the sergeant over the night shift at the police department. His wife just happened to be our nursing supervisor for the whole hospital at night as well. And it was one of his officers that gave me the jalapeno and a bet to eat. And I guess they thought they'd kill me, or bless his heart, Officer Carter probably thought he'd kill me. Here I'm a kid. Well, come to find out, it wasn't just a pepper. While I was upstairs taking the lady in labor to labor and delivery, now of course I didn't know this till days later when I ended up at work, back at work again. He confessed and apologized and groveled at my feet and everything. But he had gotten his pocket knife and cut the side of the pepper, and he stuck 5 chili patine, little round patine peppers in it. Well, I didn't know what those were either. But again, I didn't see that, didn't know that, didn't even know what they were. But the combination of the two literally almost killed me. Well, when I was finally discharged, they told me that had I been anywhere else, had I been at home or at a movie or out to eat, I would have died. Because I worked at a trauma center with nurses and doctors watching and realizing that I had an allergic reaction, they were able to intubate me before my throat shut completely. They said it was difficult, but they got me intubated and got me upstairs. So, a prank, a jalapeno pepper, and 5 chili patines, which God only knows how many were in the area, in the part that I ate. I don't know. Really, everything after the extreme burning and trying to puke it up and hurting bad, sitting on the floor, hugging the toilet, spitting up blood. Everything after that is a blur. Other than waking up, seeing the flowers, knowing I was in ICU, and seeing Sergeant Howard to my right, sitting there reading a book. I guess well, you got to think about it. One of his guys, a cop, while on duty, pranked me, almost killed me, and I was a kid, 20-year-old. And I had no idea. I was allergic. None. Or I wouldn't have tried that. That wasn't fun in any way. I was 20. Officer Carter was probably 30. Maybe a little older, I don't know. And if I'm 61 now, that makes him in his 70s. I don't know where he's at. I've called the police department there and asked them, do they know of a Officer Carter that was on duty with the department in the early 80s, and they don't. I've done obituary searches, can't find him. All I remember is his last name was Carter. Nice guy, dark hair, glasses. He wouldn't have hurt me for the world. He was just being silly and pranking. He didn't know it could kill me. Well, it almost did. But I often wonder whatever happened to him. And I would love to find him and tell him, no hard feelings. It taught me a good lesson. It also taught me that I was allergic. And I bet still to this day he wonders whatever happened to that kid that ate the jalapeno that ended up on a ventilator in ICU. I can only imagine the reports they had to fill out about that, and the meetings he had to attend, and the ass chewing that he got. I can only imagine. I know Sergeant Howard is no longer with us. Rest in peace, Sergeant Howard. I hope Officer Carter is. But that's my story about how a prank and a jalapeno pepper almost killed me. And for you guys that want to do the challenge or want to try to talk someone else into doing a pepper challenge, you don't know what you're messing with. Thank God I worked there and I was saved because they saw me as it was happening and they saved me. So just remember, don't eat the pepper if you're bet, and don't prank someone with the pepper or a peanut or anything else where they could have an allergic reaction and die. My guardian angel is worn out, I swear to God. I'm kind of like a cat. I got 9 lives. I'm starting to run out of them, let me tell you, because I've led an active life. But I'm still living. Take care of yourself. And don't eat those damn peppers. Really. Don't do it. It's not funny. It's not fun. Just say no.